Are you smelling my Starbucks rather than saying hi to me? Because I'm going to take that personally. Oh, you're so good. Can I have my painting spot back? Nope.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Chelsea and I am a professional oil painter, and for the next few months here on YouTube, I am putting together a series of videos covering a personal painting project of mine, which is to say that I am really excited to really solidify my style and explore some new techniques in my own work. And I am super excited to be diving into the painting part of this journey. If you've been with me for the past few weeks, I've been talking a lot about planning for this project and how I'm setting myself up for success. And now let's go ahead and let the rubber meet the road. So if you've been keeping up with these videos, you might have seen some of the pieces that I have prepped to do here in my own studio. But to kick off this part of the series, I really want to share with you a painting from life session that I went to at East Oak Studio recently. I can't really capture just how much I appreciate being able to go to this space and be with these painters and work from a model live. I realize that this really nourishes my creative soul in a way that other work just doesn't, and I think it's because I get to be with other people and I get to feel like my work is being seen, and this seems like the ideal jumping off point for this particular series. So I'm really excited to get back into some of the paintings that you have seen me prep reference for in previous weeks, and those videos will be coming, but I think this is going to be a really nice video to kick off this journey. So I want to talk about this idea of my work being seen. You know, of course my paintings get seen here on YouTube, but it's important to remember that having your work on YouTube is like recording this voiceover right now and pretending that that's a conversation. It might fill a conversational role. You know, I might be able to intellectualize that this is a conversation because I get to see what you say back to me in the comments, and I like to record these voiceovers as if I'm speaking to you directly. But the reality is that in the moment, as I record this for you, I don't hear anyone talking back. I don't see anyone as they watch me make these paintings. And that's why it's so meaningful to actually exist in the real world and see people that you care about face to face and put your work in front of them in that space and actually get to see and experience their reaction to your own work. And that's really why I wanted to kick off this series this way, by talking about this particular painting. Because this experience and this painting, I think, are really emblematic of where I am at as a whole, and I think it's doing a great job of showing me where I want to go from here and what I really want to work on. The reality of this piece is that I went into this painting without a whole lot of clarity on exactly how I wanted to make it. And that's really what I'm here in this video series to address. I wasn't sure when I sat down to my easel, so to speak, what approach I would want to use for my block in. I wasn't sure what aesthetic I wanted to capture. I didn't know what the model looked like. I didn't know what my finished painting would look like. And the truth is that I've learned from so many painters that I feel like I could make this painting look like so many different things if I just put my mind to it. You know, I could keep it really graphic and almost blocky like I've learned from watching David Chivlino. I can create something that is really rough and colorful and sketchy like Carolyn Anderson. I can create something that is wet and juicy and just looks like it revels in the transparency of the paint like I've learned from Daniel Keyes or from his teacher, Richard Schmid. And I'm just not really sure exactly where I want to fall on that spectrum, or if I want to be somewhere that's altogether new somehow. And that's a question that I need to answer, because it's really difficult to feel like you know what your voice is when your voice keeps changing painting to painting. And this is something that is so normal to experience. I talk to so many painters who feel stuck in this exact pattern, especially when you're good at learning and you're good at taking in information. It means it's really easy for us to mimic other people and try one thing one day and then switch to something new the next. And the result is that we can feel like we don't really know who we are or what we're trying to say. And it's worth noting that the opposite of this can be every bit as challenging, where maybe you learn from one person and you know how to do one technique, or approach the painting in one way, but that just doesn't seem to resonate with you and how you really want to work. So this painting is my attempt to reconcile all of that, to really make sense of it, and to figure out where I actually want to go from here. Because it's one thing for me to look at my Pinterest board or to look at my reference and put together a plan of where I want to be, but I do need to consider what it's actually like, in front of the raw canvas, sitting at the easel. How do I like working? How do I intuitively work? I need to factor that into this equation as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the things that I learned while I worked on this painting. Kicking off with the first thing that I really noticed is that I felt myself really wanting to create a lot of expressive gestural marks, especially during the block-in, but I wasn't quite sure how far I could push that. I started my block-in the way that I do many paintings, which is taking a dark earth tone and going ahead and sketching the basic proportions of the figure, especially focusing on the dark shapes. I also noticed that I wanted to prioritize having this painting look complete at any given stage. I want every mark that I make to look beautiful. I want every mark that I put down to be descriptive. I want every mark to be doing legwork here. I didn't want the painting to have to go through an awkward, ugly phase before I would have to save it and then turn it into what I actually want it to look like. I want it to look whole and complete the entire way through. When I think about my vision board for my work, there are pieces on there that seem to exist at every step of the timeline of creation. I have pieces that look like rough sketches, I have pieces that look like quick color studies, and I have highly detailed rendered paintings on that vision board as well. And I don't think I actually have to choose between any of those in order for me to have a clear voice. But what I do need to have happen is that the painting needs to look complete at any of those stages in order to really mesh with my vision for what I want to do. So I can use that to my advantage. I can use the fact that this tells me a lot about what I need to focus on in my paintings and what it says about what lies ahead in my journey. Now, moving past the block-in, two other things that I noticed were that I wasn't really sure how I wanted to play with color in this piece, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted the texture of the paint to be. So I could create this using a very impressionistic method, which to me, I think would mean having the paint be a little bit drier and potentially getting a little bit more color into this rendering. Right now, I would say I'm more interested and have been more interested lately in being able to really compress my value in color and not accidentally go too chromatic with my color choices or too disparate in my value structure. I would rather have a little bit more compression right now and capture the subtlety, even if I actually do want to reintroduce color in a big way later on in the painting. I noticed that tendency coming out, and I think that it's one that I really need to pay attention to going forward. That being said, I'm not quite sure if I really want to use a lot of solvent to take advantage of the transparency of oil paint going forward. I could do this and put down a wash for the entire face, or I could take a much drier approach. And I don't know how tight or literal I want parts of my block-in or the development of it to be, but I do know that I really enjoyed this challenge of wanting the painting to look complete and beautiful at the end of every single 20-minute model session that we had. And I really wanted to make sure that every mark that I put down felt really beautiful and I could leave the painting alone at that particular stage. What I came away with here is a painting that I'm really pleased with and I think turned out really beautifully. I captured the likeness of the model in a way that I'm satisfied with, and I'm really glad that I get to share this with all of you in YouTube and to get to talk to you about it. From here, I think the next thing that I really need to do is explore this question of what this painting tells me about the way in which I need to work, and ask what that says about the skills that I really need to focus on developing, or the recipe or techniques that I'm going to use in the coming paintings to produce the results that I really want. And this is where I think that truly sitting down and exploring that vision board for my goal and being really thoughtful and mindful about what I want to do is going to merit the extra time that it's going to take to do that. This isn't the kind of thing where it just makes sense to dive in and hope that I figure out my intention halfway through. I'm going to save myself so much time by being slow and methodical and thoughtful in the beginning, and this is very much what I have just given myself the space to do. The next step that I see for myself is going to be to take a look at that vision board once again. Take a look at this painting. And I really want to visualize what I think I would like to do differently next time, what I need to clarify that I'm going to do for future pieces, and really get a vision of what those paintings should look like when they're finished. And that's going to tell me what I really need to focus on next. So if you are excited to see how this unfolds, please make sure to subscribe and tune in for my next video this coming week, where I will be diving into exactly that. Until next time, happy painting.